Okay.
Hello, and welcome to half of the Doer and the Thinker podcast. My name is Jonathan Serrano, and Zander is not here. We are back in lockdown again, so for now, we are going to do an episode at least, where I'm going to do half of the episode, and then Zander is going to kind of talk about the things that I spoke about, or kind of, bounce off of what I'm saying in this episode. It's tough because I really suck at doing this by myself, and one of the best parts about doing the podcast is having Zander there, to kind of bounce off ideas and, hang out with him. But, we're going to do what we're going to do. We're trying to brainstorm ways that we could do it in a different way. That's my wife stomping around. There we go. So we're trying to brainstorm ways to kind of do the episodes where we can both be on at the same time, but not in the same room, which is, I guess, versus the mandates state that we can't be in the same room. So we're trying to figure it out. But today on the podcast, I would like to would like to extend our last episode, where we were speaking about family. So I got a message from one of my girls, and she kind of called me out, and I appreciate it, actually. So she called me out. She said, well, how come you didn't talk about, how we're family and we're friends and stuff like that, but I'm still family. And you know what? She's absolutely right. We didn't. We kind of stuck on the actual, relationship, family, relative kind of theme, but we did miss a big part, especially because, for me especially, it's super important for me that my friends understand that they are not friends, they are my family. And it's a theme that I've had for quite a while, as most people know, that I have a pretty small circle as far as actual relatives go, and even smaller of a circle is the amount of relatives that I'm actually close with. Just because I'm just that type of asshole. I just, I put, like I said in the last episode, I put more emphasis on the relationship that I have with people than on the title that I'm supposed to be calling somebody. So if you're my cousin's uncle or my second cousin or whatever, that honestly means nothing to me. But if we're close and we have a good, strong relationship, then that means everything to me, and that is what I invest my time on, and that's what I kind of, try to reach out and grow that relationship. But I did miss out on that, speaking about friends, and it's something that I kind of want to really correct, because it is super important to me. I've had a group of friends that I have played for the last, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years, but prior to moving up here to Washington, that I played Dungeons and Dragons with. We all know I'm a huge nerd, and I played in a group that was full of nerds, and they just happened to be all dudes. These dudes were just family to me, I don't think that they really knew it, but to me, these were people that were super important to me. That the fact that they came over every week, every other week, or whenever we could meet, and took the time out of their lives to kind of spend with the group, it was something that was super important to me. And to this day, I care very deeply for these people. And aside from that, I also had another D&D group that that I played with, and it was filled with my wife and some of my other friends, and that was the same. We played every week for a year, and it was no longer friends playing the game. It was a family, and part of it was because some of my best friends were playing in the group. Obviously, my wife and stuff like that too. But I just, like, these people, these are the relationships that I love. These are people that I love, the relationships that I really invest my time in because it's where I see value. A story of one of these girls, we'll call her B, because I don't know if she wants me to say her name, but my jacket is super loud, and that's a shout out to my wife because she told me it was super loud, but I really don't care because But anyways, so I met this girl in the ER. She worked in the ER where I used to work, and we kind of, had a little bit of banter back and forth, talked a little bit. I think Disney was the icebreaker for us, which, we live in Southern California. Disney is going to be an icebreaker. But I walked up to her one day, and I just said, "Do you like board games?" She gave me this weird look, and she's like, "Yes." And the second question just popped out of my mouth. I don't know why to this day, but it just popped out. I know why, but I don't know. I just said, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And in my head, I was trying to think of a way where I could kind of, hey, like, bring your boyfriend and come play games with my house. I'm not like a crazy person, just bring a person over. And that's kind of what I tried to communicate in my socially awkward, dummy nerd way. But she fortunately was a lot more graceful at communication than I was, and she said that she would bring another friend, and this friend we'll call A. They came over, we had a game night. It was a lot of fun, and we actually only had maybe a handful of hangout times after that because we got along so well. But it's funny because they decided to travel for work, and they abandoned me in California and left for another state, which, I'm still trying to get over that. But we only hung out a handful of times, and for some reason that connection just runs deep. I mean, these girls to me are super important, and even to my wife, and we literally only hung out, maybe I could count on, at least I know I can count on two hands the amount of times that we've actually spent together. But for some reason, these girls, they're not friends. They are deeper. They're my family, and I value them so much closer than just a friend. And it's just so interesting because I haven't really taken the time to meditate on why that happens or why it happens so quickly for me. But I tend to take my friends, obviously because of my family ring is so much, so small, I take my friends in a little bit tighter and kind of hold them closer to the chest for me. And sometimes it's almost to a fault. And what I mean by that is, sometimes I do have a little bit of tension. It brings tension up with other people, whether it's like other family, relatives, I'll call them, where they're blood, where they see certain interactions and they think it's wrong, or even sometimes I've had, before my wife really understood, we had disagreements where she thought that, we had a disagreement where I said, "Leave the door open, this person's coming over." And she felt uncomfortable with it, and in my head, I see this person as a family member, and it was almost like the question that I could have asked to get her to relate, but I didn't, is, well, if your mom was coming over, would you be comfortable leaving the door open? Of course she would say yes. She's just not going to care. But for me, it's equivalent. For me, it's equivalent that this person would be coming in and just, walking into the house. It's not an issue. It's, because they're family. And sometimes, I think people just don't understand that. And it's not something that's totally, I guess, it's not something that a lot of people consider, because they might not have to, because they have a tight-knit relatives or family unit. But for me, it's just something that I've adopted, and I'm super happy about it. So I think that I really feel that it's something that I kind of dropped the ball on, and I just want to say that to all these friends, that you are not friends. You are my family, and it's been really important for me to have that around me, and it's helped me a lot. But speaking of somebody that is a friend, which he is not, and I'll name this person. This person's name is Jake. He sent us a question. So the segment that we wanted to do was do you want me to lie or do you want me to be honest? And Jake actually sent us an email, and he sent us a couple questions that he wanted me to answer. I actually have to read his email because it's too damn funny not to. But I have to tell a story first. I'll answer the first part of his question, which asks whether or not we're going to be doing a Christmas episode like we did the Halloween episode. I don't know. I have a couple Christmas stories. I mean, I love Christmas. Most of my Christmas story is going to be told right after I answer this question, but I'm not sure. Xander, gonna mark this one down and see what you think about it. There was something that I wanted to do that was really special, but I don't know if we're gonna have time because of the quarantine. If we can fit it in after the quarantine but before Christmas, I would love to do it, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to, but we'll see. We might do some kind of like holiday decor or something, but we will see. I'm not sure. Things are kind of left up in the air right now. But the second part of this email, which I'll read after this story, it has to start with a story. So this person's name is Jake, and Jake I met through work as well. And the very first time that I met this guy, he has this very mean mugging face. Like, he looks very serious, like his eyebrow, he shaves his head, and he just looks very intimidating, very serious. And I was very intimidated by him at first. And I was training him, I was teaching him how to do some stuff at work, and we just kind of got on the topic of jazz music, and we just got on the topic of like family and just a bunch of other stuff. And I realized this guy is an amazing guy. And funnily enough, he asked me to hang out, and I'm pretty sure that the very first time he asked us to hang out, I think we canceled on him. And I don't know if Jake knows. I mean, he's gonna know now, but I don't know if he knows that we canceled on him because I was too socially anxious to go and hang out at a stranger's house just like that. But I'm pretty sure that happened. Sorry, Jake. I apologize that you had to find out that way, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But we ended up hanging out after that. Spent a bunch of time together. We became really close. And eventually, we share our love for Christmas together. And this guy, he goes all out for Christmas. Like, he just loves Christmas. And I have a story, and he always tells it way better, and I wish we could do like a guest spot so that he could tell the story, but I will do my best. So Jake needed some help. He needed some help putting up some lights in his house because he was doing the Christmas decorations. So I go over to his house, we put some stuff up, and then he says that we have to get on the roof. And for me, being on the roof, not a problem. I mean, I've used to hang out on the roofs in Mexico at my grandma's house. We literally just hung out on the roof, and I'm super comfortable with it. But Jake warned me that there was this certain part of the roof that was slick and moss grew on it. So he told me, to be careful. And, I ignored it because, of course, it's fine. I'm used to it. So we get up on the roof, we're hanging up lights. His brother's in the front yard kind of handing us lights up from a ladder. And I go onto that legendary part of the roof, and sure enough, I start slipping. And I grab onto the roof is kind of angled. I grab onto the crest of the roof, and I try to start pulling myself up, and it's just not working. My feet, I cannot get any grip. So Jake is there. He's on the other side. He's on this side. He's grabbing, his arms and his head are just poking out. He's reaching down, and he's grabbing onto my shirt. He's grabbing onto anything that he can. We got our hands locked together, and he's trying to pull me up. And this guy is not, he's not dainty by any means. He's got muscle on him, and he's trying to pull me up, and it's just not working. And we're struggling. And this guy's got me by the collar, trying to pull me up and trying to not have me fall off this roof. And we struggle for what seems at least 5 minutes. And I got to use Jake's line here. And this is a line that he always uses when he tells a story. And you guys were going to think that I'm saying this next part just to make this story funnier. But I'm not saying it. This is exactly how it went down. I look up into his eyes. And I just say, "Just let me go, Jake." Just let me go. And he kind of looks at me, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to let you go." I had to convince him to let me go. And he's like, "Are you sure you want me to let you go?" And I was like, "Dude, it's okay. It's okay, Jake. Just let me go. It'll be okay." And it was almost like in Titanic, where Jack just wants, Rose to let him go. And finally, I just see the questioning on his face, and I just remember, just this face that he had is just questioning on whether or not I was serious, but then at the same time, he realized that we didn't have any other choice. So he lets me go, and sure enough, I'm sliding down this roof, and luckily it was only maybe about 8 feet up, but I'm sliding down, and I land on my feet. I'm okay. I hit hard, but it's fine. And and I swear to you that for at least a year to maybe a year and a half after that incident, you can see on the same part of that roof, you can look up on his roof, and you can see just a trail of my ass left of all the moss that was cleared. That took time to kind of regrow that moss over it. But that was my line. Every time I went over, I would always say, "That's my line." But anyways, that's the story. But I'm going to read you this email because this guy just tells it so much better than I can. So the first part of the email, he asked about the Christmas episode, but the next part it reads, "The next 2 questions are for Jonathan, and give it to me straight. This question has to do with the time many years ago when we were on the roof hanging Christmas lights. Due to the thin layer of moss that had grown on the tiles, you started to lose your footing and became unable to recover. We locked arms and stayed that way for what seemed hours, even though it was only a couple minutes. Finally, when we seemed to be out of options, you looked up at me, completely expressionless, and just said, 'Just let me go.' You might have even whispered it. It took you a few attempts to finally talk me into letting go, but I eventually did. And you slid right off of that motherfucker. Fortunately, you were okay, but I never felt like we were the same after. I sometimes wonder if you were friend testing me and I had failed you horribly. So give it to me straight. Do you hate me for letting go?" All right, Jake, you want me to lie or do you want me to be honest? Obviously, he wants me to be honest. The honest truth is that I cannot think of any better Christmas story that I have than that story. And the fact that you let me go is just so funny, and I would never ever hold it against you. I could never even be angry at you, let alone hate you. But I'm telling you, the memory of this incident, it just sticks with me. And I read this whole email to my wife, and she busted up laughing because she remembered the whole thing. And I'm telling you, every time we went over, we would look on the roof and my line would be there, my ass dragging line. But yeah, the honest truth is, no, Jake, I don't hate you. I still love you, and thank you for sending in that question. But the next part of the question it reads, this is the last question. would you trade our friendship for one night with my sister? Oh, God damn it. The answer is no, damn it. I couldn't trade our friendship for one night with your sister. Now, getting married into the family and being a brother-in-law? Mayhaps, I'd have to think about that. But the moral of the story is that, no, Jake, I love you too much to let you go, even though you let me go. But it's okay because I asked for it. But I also got another question from somebody else, and it wasn't in the form of lie or be honest. Do you want me to lie or do you want me to be honest? But kind of asked me a question. It kind of sat with me for a little while. A little bit more of a serious question. And the context was that we were talking about how the podcast is helping me kind of be a little bit better mentally, and that expression really makes me feel good. And he asked me, what happens if you don't have the courage to do a podcast, or to, go somewhere where, if you don't have somebody to kind of have these expressions with, as far as like releasing these emotions and stuff like that. And, it really stuck with me because it was a hard question for me to answer. And honestly, and lie or be honest, the answer is going to be the same. I don't think I've ever been in a more mentally healthy, stable place than when I was doing therapy. And I gotta be honest here. Full disclosure, when I went into therapy, I had zero expectations. As a matter of fact, I was doubtful that anything was going to happen, that anything was going to work. And this is part of the problem, I think, that sometimes with people, is that they go in with these expectations that, they're going to give these magical answers or fix this problem somehow magically. They're going to have some kind of technique. And in my head, before, I kind of thought, well, anything that this guy is going to be able to tell me, I'm going to be able to think of in my brain, because I'm good at meditation and self, assessment, and, I'm okay with the self kind of therapy where I'm assessing my emotions and getting past things. But the honest truth is that going into therapy, I felt amazing afterwards. And again, full disclosure, he didn't give me anything revolutionary. He didn't give me any answers. He didn't give me anything different that I could identify myself. And I was right in that sense, but I was completely wrong in the sense that having somebody to kind of speak to that is on the same wavelength, that's kind of able to really understand what you're saying. And I think that's part of the reason why Zander and I get along so well, is we're both on the same wavelength, and we both kind of feed off of each other. But to have that expression and that release, it's just a game changer. And my honest answer is that if you are feeling like you are unable to express to other people around you, your friends, your family, then go to therapy. And I feel like there's no reason to go to therapy. You shouldn't have to go to therapy to fix a relationship, or to fix yourself, or to, as a last resort. If you feel like nothing is wrong, but you kind of feel like, oh, there's some things that I can get off of my shoulders, go to therapy and try it. And it's all it is to try and see how it works for you. And I can't express enough how wrong I was of the value of it. And there were times when the person, I would speak to them, and they were able to take what I was saying and how I was saying it and the communication I was using, and they were able to help my wife understand what I was saying, because I didn't have the patience, didn't have the knowledge or ability to be able to communicate it that way. And he was able to do that, and that made me feel just amazing to have my wife be able to understand that. And and aside from my wife understanding, just to be able to sit there and release and speak to people, or speak to a person that's on the same wavelength and able to understand the way that I communicate, was just invaluable. So, I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Super recommend anybody that is feeling any type of way to go and do some therapy and just give it a try. But with all that being said, it is my time to stop, and it's Zander's time to pick up. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to kind of give us some patience with us trying to figure this whole thing out. My apologies that there wasn't an episode, that we did skip an episode because we were just scrambling trying to figure things out. So we hope to either figure it out and do this kind of podcast, or figure something else out where we can both be, speaking at the same time. Hopefully we'll be able to figure something like that out. But I hope that everybody out there kind of stays strong during the quarantine. If you guys have any questions or anything else that you guys want to express and you just need perspective on it, sometimes all it takes is for somebody to feel and understand that you're not the only one feeling that way. And if you guys send us things that we can talk about, then we can kind of share our thoughts about it and have people understand that, you are not the only people. You're not the only person that feels this way. You're not the only person that thinks these thoughts. And we hope to kind of open up that kind of communication. So that's all up for me. You guys have a good afternoon, and I will pass it on to Zander.
And I'm here. So you heard the first part of the podcast. If you're still here to listen to my end, thank you. We're doing it a little bit different. There's no microphones. You don't see anything. We're by ourselves, and we're filming from home because of what's going on. But we make it work. And before I start, apologize for not having that episode out that week, because we were, like Jonathan was saying, we were scrambling and we were trying to figure out what to do. And in trying to figure out, on top of working, blah, 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 it just kind of slipped. The time just kind of slipped us by. So he had the continuation of talking about friends and family, and that, and you've heard what he said, and I figured on my end, just to touch base a little bit on it, is that I feel the same way, like family is family, and it's almost like an obligation in a sense where you have to stick together and whatever. But with friends, you can kind of test the waters out. You can kind of figure out what is what you can get away with almost. And then if they're still there, if they're still being with you and fuck with you and all that other stuff, then they become family after that, and then if they don't, if they fuck up or you fuck up or whatever, it's almost like it's okay to kind of just like, okay, dust yourself off. It's okay. There's no obligation there. We're not friends anymore, whatever, So I think it just depends on an individual. It depends on the people that you're around with and how you grew up. And his friend, Jonathan's friend, Jake, sent an email because he's so fucking cool, and he has people sending him email. I didn't get jack shit for anybody. And it got me thinking, It got me thinking. Jonathan and I, even though we are kind of somewhat in the same wavelength mentally or whatever, but I think he has a better grasp on social understanding, like, what I mean, like friends and family. I think he has a better understanding of it. And I just got me thinking, he was telling the story about so to go back a little bit on the Christmas episode, we are trying to figure out what to do. We are trying to do a few things that's fun and all that, but again, like, because of what's going on, time is of the essence in a sense, because we're here now, and also it's kind of lockdown, not lockdown, whatever that is. We can't really do much anything. And I'm scrambling myself on my end to figure things out with money and all that other stuff. Anyway, it's not a big deal, but we hope to do a Christmas episode, and we also hope to do something a little bit more than that as well. So stay tuned. And I know we have been bad with posting just on social media, and I touched base a little bit with my podcast, and I know Jonathan can at least agree with me in this. It's just we don't want to keep posting where it doesn't feel genuine. We don't want to post to post. We want to post because we want to. I know it doesn't make sense in a way, because when you have something that you hold value and you want to keep posting and make sure people are paying attention, but then who are you really doing it for, and who are you, like, again with talking about the dark void or whatever, then it's like, am I seeking validation? Am I seeking success equals money and all that stuff? Or at least on my end. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So what? And you heard his story. It's pretty cool. He had his friend, homie, and they talked, and he had a great story. And it just got me thinking, fuck, man, I don't have those type of stories. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. And it just got me thinking, Jonathan is very good at holding a relationship together, meaning if it's worth his time, he would give everything and more until there's nothing left to give. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he is able to put himself out there and able to say, hey man, I love you, or hey lady, I love you. I want to be friends. I want to be more than friends, family, all that. And he is able to put himself out there, and then if it doesn't work out, that he can kind of like let go, and then I'm just got me thinking, for me, I've always been alone all my life, and and not like I have friends, family, I have people that are around me, but deep down I'm just a very lonesome person. And again, I'm not trying to be weird about it. I'm not trying to be emo. Oh, I'm cool, I'm a lonely person. No, I mean, this is the reality of my life. This is the reality of my perspective, and this is my experiences, that the way I tell it. And for some reason, I have difficulty, even though I do this, I do put myself out there, I have difficulty retaining it, if that makes any sense. Like, I have difficulty working on the relationship further and giving myself more when I feel like I'm wasting my time. And again, I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for any of you, and I don't know what you in your life have gone through, and I can only assume that there are similarities out there with people that I have with. And it's like, and it's not that I'm cool or I'm in a different wavelength. It's just that for some reason I have difficulty retaining those relationships. I have difficulty putting myself out there, even though I know I'm vulnerable, even though I can be truthful, even though I can be a little bit much, and I can be an asshole. I'm very much of an asshole. I speak sometimes without thinking, hence the doer. I can be very impulsive, and I don't know where it came from. I really don't. I think I put so much emphasis on time that I hate wasting time. If you don't fuck with me, then hey, it's okay. Leave. If you don't fuck with me, then that's the door, and that's just how I feel. And if you say anything stupid that I don't agree with, I will speak my mind. I'll tell you, like, hey man, I don't agree with that. But I'm also able to have a genuine conversation, and I'm also able to hear you out, because I know people are very different. People are very unique. You might have similarities with a lot of people, but bottom line, you are very unique to who you are, and for me, sometimes I think I speak my mind a little bit more than I want to, and then I either hurt their feelings, and I don't and most of the time I don't mean to do that. I really don't, even though what I say and what I do could mean otherwise. And it just got me thinking, like, it just, in my head, I'm just like, do I push people away? Do I avoid those type of relationship? I know I have friends. I don't have a lot of friends, and most of my friends are very good people, very people who are full of grace, and they're really wonderful people. But for some reason, I have a hard time connecting, and I don't know what that is. And it's not that I don't ever think I'm better than anybody. I don't ever think that like people are less than me or more than me or whatever. I think I love the differences that we have. I love that you may not have the same ambition or whatever as me, but I'm here to help you and stuff like that. I feel like I'm rambling now, but I'm just trying to reflect a little bit on it. And do I really push people away? Do I really kind of tell, hey, I don't have time to hang out, or I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that, because I think I put a little bit more emphasis on doing what I love as happiness sometimes, and that's maybe not necessarily true. I think spending time with people you love and people you cherish and people that you look up to and respect, I think that is okay. For the longest time, if I'm not being productive, if I'm not doing what I am so passionate about, and I'm not tinkering with what I'm passionate about and being expressive and all that, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I feel like I'm not putting in the work to be where I want to be. Ambition, drive, and all that has been so ingrained in me since the beginning. Again, like I talk about this in my podcast. Again, I don't mean to bring it up all the time, but I think it makes it relates. That I, born in an Asian family, I am an immigrant. So success and validation is, unfortunately, is the foundation of how I was brought up. And it's a deeply, deeply ingrained in me. It's deeply in there. No matter how much I recognize it, no matter how much I'm aware of it, I am constantly aware of it. I'm constantly thinking about it. I'm constantly, okay, if I do this, I need to be this. I need to be validated. I need to make money. I need to be better than what I am today. I need to be the best that I can be tomorrow, today, this minute, this second, and prove people wrong, prove my mother wrong, prove my family wrong, prove my friends wrong. Like, hey, see, I don't hang out with you because I need to do this for myself so I can show you I'm successful, right? I don't have time to hang out because I need to do this, because I need to work on my ambition, work on my drive, and work on achieving my goals. But then I'm not slowing down enough to enjoy my goals, to enjoy the ambition that I have, to enjoy the accomplishments that I've had. Like, my wife had to really talk to me about it, had to really, hey man, verbatim, hey man, you've accomplished a lot even though you don't think you have. You have done a lot even though you don't think you have. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I have stuff to do. There's other things that I need to focus on, And I think it's all about slowing down. It's about really enjoying the moments that I have right now. And I think that's the gift of growing older, the gift of wisdom, right? Of growing older, hopefully. I'm still young at heart. I still look like I'm talking about, like, in my 20s. Not really. I'm in my 30s. Let's be honest here. I'm getting old. But I went on a long tangent, but there's so much more that I want to do. There's so much more that I want to achieve and just enjoy life. I know in the beginning of the pod, Jonathan was talking about family and friends, and then he has that wonderful story with his other friend of I just let me go. It's a great story, a funny story, a great anecdote. What do I have? It got me thinking again. Where are my stories? What happened to my stories? Do I not have any stories to tell? And I don't know. I guess it depends on. I'm assuming I do. I'm assuming I have some cool stories to tell, but it just depends on situation. Depends on if I remember them. So let me. Maybe it's not technical. You see, that's the thing. I have a funny story, but I can't really say. It's not really a Christmas story. Again, growing up Asian, we don't celebrate Christmas. I recently celebrated Christmas when I moved out here. And even then, it wasn't a tradition, it wasn't a thing that my family did or I did. It was just in passing. It just depends on who I was with at the time, relationship-wise. My mom and I, and here's another thing, even though I love her to death, I would do anything for her, everything for her, we are not close. We really aren't. And I don't know why. I think, and I can't say that it's an Asian thing, but we're not close. We don't do that. We know we love each other. We know that we care about each other, but I don't tell her things. You know what I mean? We just don't talk. And maybe that's something I need to fix. And maybe that has the indoctrination of how I was brought up. You know what I mean? I think it follows you, So anyway, so that's my time. It's shorter because I'm going to have to edit this. So thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for indulging us in this weird little situation that we put ourselves in. But if this works out, if this sounds good, I think we're okay for now to do it like this, at least for now, right? Even though it's better when we're together, we have that better chemistry that we can kind of talk to each other. He said in the beginning he's not used to talking to himself, but I think he did an amazing job. I have a little bit more experience, but I think he did awesome. So good job, Jonathans. So again, thank you for listening. Bear with us. Please email us. We have that segment of, do you want me to lie or tell you the truth? Please, if I have any friends out there, go ahead and email and ask us questions or ask me questions about our relationships. Okay? Or it could be just Jonathan's friends. It's fine. It's okay. I'm not sad or anything. So you can email us at thedoerandthethinker@gmail.com. I don't remember if there's a podcast there. I think it's just the Doer and the Thinker at gmail.com. You can find us at the Doer and the Thinker podcast on Instagram. You can follow him at John53 Rano or whatever, and then you can follow me at just Zander on Instagram. He has numbers on his. It's weird, old guy. It's okay. And that's my time. So thank you. Hope you're well. Take it easy. And, I know it's hard right now, and I can't tell you what to do, obviously. I can't tell you how to behave, but I think because of what's going on, or at least for me personally, I've had time to really reflect. And I'm grateful. And I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to be better, And I hope you do too. And because we can't do anything alone. We can't do as much as you want to. You can work on yourself, but us as human beings, we do need people. We do need help, and we should help other people. I think that's our purpose, in my opinion. And sprinkle a little bit of fun here and there, of course. But anyway, now I'm just rambling on. I'm so used to talking to myself, I can go on for hours. But anyway, thank you. I love you all. And then we'll see where it goes from here on out. So, peace. Okay.